This week I was preaching this at my church, and there's a whole bunch of people that I know that are there that are unsaved. There are people that are there that maybe aren't going to be able to handle this word. And I remember saying, God, but today, do I have to preach this today on our birthday, our church birthday? Do I have to preach this on? Somehow the scriptures from our Famous in Hell sermon led me to the church that had tolerated Jezebel, which led to this moral relativism versus absolute truth. Do I have to put up that list? I mean, abortion is such a hot, crazy topic right now, God. It's so polarizing. It's so... And I said, God, I love these people. I don't want them to leave. I was in the back. I was saying that to God. I'm just being honest. I was saying, God, I don't want them to leave because the word's too hard for them to swallow. This is steak. You're asking me to feed them steak today. Some of them they just been drinking milk. They don't. And I said, God, I love them. And I said, God, please. I had another sermon I could preach, and I could have easily, no one would have known but me and God. I had it already written about being an orphan, and everyone would have loved it. No one would have, it would have been controversial at all. It would have been just encouraging. And I think there are times for those sermons, right? But God had asked me to preach this on our 11th birthday. And I said, God, I love these people. And he said back to me, he said, you don't love them. He said, you don't love them. You love their opinion of you. In other words, you love that they love you. You love you. You don't love them. You love you. You love your comfort. You love preaching a comfortable word. But if you love them like I love them, you would give them the truth. If you really knew they were building their house on the sand, if you really understood that their house was going to come down when the storms came, and the storms are coming, if you really love them, you will preach my word. And so I went to that stage shaking. Because most pastors aren't preaching this word. And Jesus sometimes calls us to preach truth that not everyone's going to accept. Remember that out of 500 that Jesus appeared to, only 120 went to the upper room. That's Jesus preaching. Remember when he's preaching to thousands and thousands, and he kept thinning out the crowd because of what he was saying. And the disciples confronted him. Jesus, that word is too hard. And then Jesus looked at him and said, are you going to leave too? What a lie. And I think it's not that, it's that it's a hard job that we have as pastors in this moment to not love our Instagram following. I mean, since I've been talking about what I feel like the Lord's telling me to talk about abortion at no time is right. I've lost a lot of followers. People are angry. So be it. I have to stand before him. And really, I didn't love them. I loved me. I loved my comfort more than I loved my brother and more than I loved the Lord. And so I've just decided to step out. And you know what? Some people are going to be stoked about that. And some people will leave. Some people will move on. But when their house crumbles and when the storm hits, and if they survive, they'll come looking for truth. Because what the world promised didn't work. Amen. Amen. Well, I want to pray for some people in here. Maybe you're here and you're struggling with some things God's asked you to do. you know God's asked you to stand for truth.